Truck Series race 22 of 25. 4 races to go in the season, but if we win the championship tonight, this will be the final race of the season for us. So let's try to get this done. We have to finish 21st or better to win the title coming into this race. We qualified 4th. I didn't practice, but we did race in Atlanta earlier this season, and we did have a top 10 finish. So, with that being said, I think we should be able to take care of business here today. I would be shocked if we don't take care of business. I would like to win. We haven't won a mile-and-a-half race all season. Mile-and-a-half racetrack, I should say, all season. We are definitely on the hottest stretch we've been so far this year. We had the 5 wins in a row. Granted, those were all on, obviously, short tracks. And then in recent races, third at Las Vegas and Talladega. Was very close to winning that first mile-and-a-half race at Las Vegas. Caution came out. We had a green light check and restart. We got past on the final lap, unfortunately. And then at Talladega, in that race, we ended up leading the most laps, despite only leading 23 of 94 laps. We were up in contention, ended up finishing 3rd on that one. And then last race, Martinsville, we actually did not win. It was the first short track race that did not win all season outside of Milwaukee, and ended up finishing 2nd at Martinsville to Bobby Hamilton Sr., who is trying to chase us for the championship here today. So be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more daily NASCAR content as we are getting into tonight's race. Alrighty. Can Ted Musgrave over the next 130 laps keep himself in contention to win this championship? Here this evening we'll see green flag is in the air. And in the Easy Care 200 at Atlanta, we are underway. Just a short 130 lap, 200 mile race here tonight. And already a slow start for Ted Musgrave as he's having to hold 3 wide middle down into turns 3 and 4. Very, very tight on the opening lap. Was not expecting to get split 3 wide middle that early, but we did, and we got out of it, so that was good. And quickly underneath Tinkin to try to get one of these spots back into turns 1 and 2, and Musgrave does it. Wade, thanks for tuning in. Michael Turner, thanks for tuning in as well. Another pass to get up to 7th place. Bo Phillips dominated this race earlier in the season en route to his first of what is 5 victories on the season. Still technically has a chance of trying to catch us for the most wins on the year, or at least to tie it. He would have to win out to break us. Really want to win a mile-and-a-half racetrack so bad. We just haven't done it yet. First and foremost, we have to go for this championship, but if we're in contention for the win late, obviously, I say we try to do something. I mean, we only have to finish 21st, so I like my chances, but have to imagine this is going to be anywhere between a 1 to a 2 stop race today as well. Musgrave follows Lester, who started on the pole. Musgrave looking to the inside of the 22 truck. Got there but couldn't stay there enough getting down into turns 3 and 4. So now he'll follow him again through the next corner as he goes to pass Bo Phillips for 3rd place instead. And the pass is complete off turn 4. And now going for 2nd place is Musgrave. Clips the apron, got a little loose. And again, Lester holds on. Got to be careful not to get too much of that apron there. As soon as I clipped it, I got well out of the gas. Could feel the truck getting super light. The only thing big picture-wise when it comes to having to finish 21st or better to win the championship, we might not want to be too aggressive in this race trying to make passes. So we don't want to have to go to the tail end of the field and lose all this track position we had at the start. kind of like we did at Martinsville, which, if you remember, got in an accident on lap 2 in that race. Although we led laps, didn't really recover to go out there and have a chance to beat Bobby Hamilton. So try not to have that happen again here. Scrape the wall down the backstretch, getting into turn 3. Lester slides. Musgrave trying to lead a lap. Obviously, 21st or better would be if Bobby Hamilton wins the race and leads the most laps. About to be 5 bonus points for Ted Musgrave if he can lead a lap, which he does barely at the line side by side with Bill Lester. So that's 5 bonus points. So now that means we can finish 22nd and win the championship now that we've received 5 bonus points. If we get 5 more bonus points for leading the most laps, then we can finish 24th to win the title today. 3 points per position for every spot outside the top 10. So obviously getting the 5 bonus points we did right there, that's big. So now 22nd or better. We'd still like to try to lead the most laps, of course, as well. I don't know if we're going to have the truck to be able to do that, but we'll give it a go. Bo Phillips now going to jump out to the front of the field. This truck felt a little loose in qualifying. It didn't make any adjustment changes, and it definitely feels free in the race. Loose as fast, obviously, if he can hang on to it. Really trying to go for speed here. That is very close quarters. 91 of Phillips. Lester looking to take the lead. Loose moment, overdriving the corner again by Musgrave. Second time he clipped the apron in 1 and 2, and he's going to lose 3rd place. Get to catch the wings game. Yeah, I saw your comment earlier. I posted a comment right after the fact. I caught all the game Saturday night. Boy, here we go. 3 wide again. Look at this. I think we're going to pass them both. What a move to get to second. And that surge of speed and a hole at the bottom of the racetrack with the clean air as the 22 of Bill Lester was up on the outside. Second time this 9 truck has been out in front of the field now. Bobby Hamilton to try to keep his championship hopes alive. He's obviously going to want to try to lead as many laps as he can to get the most laps led. Doesn't want Musgrave to do it. Best thing he can do today is do exactly what he did at Martinsville, which was lead the most laps and win that race and put the pressure on us to have to do what we need to do tonight to win the championship. Obviously, we were unable to do that. Our championship criteria at Martinsville in the last race, we had to outpoint Bobby Hamilton by 30. Even if we won that race and led the most laps, he was going to finish second. We were going to have to come into tonight to clinch the championship. He just had such a good truck. And his team did a great job to keep him in contention for at least one more race. And now they're trying to do that all over again. San Uso to Grand Rapids. Yeah, I don't think that was the outing he hoped for on opening night for the team. The defense wasn't great that opening night, at least in the second half of the game I watched. I'd imagine the first half of the game was a lot like that too. His goaltending wasn't great either, but there were some shot opportunities that he wasn't going to be able to stop. They just looked out of place. A little crowding going on down the back straightaway. It's been tight up here at the front of the field, but primarily clean. Phillips leads again. And another crossover as Musgrave just able to get his nose underneath the 191. Gets side drafted all the way down that backstretch. That was an aggressive move by Phillips. But he can't clear on the high side. Third different time Musgrave has led now. Drove it in really deep. And clear. I noticed there was quite a few NHL games on today, too. I don't know what's with them having a bunch of afternoon games. I know opening day there was, what was it, the Utah and the St. Louis game? That was on in the afternoon. There was like 2 or 3 games on earlier today. Wings play at 7 tonight. Yep. Yeah, I'll be watching that primarily and try to catch some of that Monday Night Football game at times. See my boy Aaron Rodgers playing. I don't think they're going to win, but alternating through the different camera angles for the first time in this race now. Columbus Day today. Is that why they're playing in the afternoon? Blues and Kraken last Tuesday. That's right. That's right. I knew it was St. Louis and somebody. Looks like there's a 5th truck kind of catching up to these top 4. Slowly but surely at the front of the field. Flipping the apron, up the track and into the wall, along with Bill Lester. Big hit, too. Got the apron going off into the corner in turn 1 for the 3rd time, and that time it bit him. And when he slid sideways, obviously with Lester to his outside, Bill Lester was an innocent bystander. We do stay green, but now Musgrave's going to fall out of the lead. Lester falls out of 2nd. And they're back to, it looks like, 5th and 6th place on the racetrack. That was strike 3 on me hitting the apron. That time I had a big moment. First 2 times I was able to catch it, not that time. Honestly, if Lester wasn't to my outside, I might have still caught it again. I would have went way up the racetrack, but I think I could have kept it out of the wall. That's a bummer. Every time we get loose like that, too, it's just going to free the truck up more and more and more because the tires are just going to start to burn off the car faster, the rear tires in particular. Lost fantasy this week. I have won. I needed Chase Brown to get me a touchdown last night, either him or Alan Lazard. Today I was down by 6 going in, and Chase Brown got me a touchdown with less than 2 minutes to go in the game last night. I was like, oh, man, because I was still, I think I was down by 4 at that time still. And I'm like, I really going to have to hope that Alan Lazard catches a touchdown, because pretty much like the only time he gives me points any week is if he scores a touchdown. He doesn't get a lot of yards, and he only gets, you know, within 1 to 3 catches, it seems like, every week, but he's got like 4 touchdowns this season, so I didn't want to have to bank on that, especially playing Buffalo. Thankfully, Chase Brown got a touchdown. And he did get a touchdown, I think it was in the 3rd. It was either late 3rd or early 4th since he scored a touchdown, but then they... it was like right on the goal line. It was a goal line carry for Chase Brown. He got in the end zone. There was a holding call. Took the points off the board. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So at that point, I thought I won. But yeah, nope, won both of them. I'll be 5-1 in my work league, and 4-2 in the Big Money League. I was 1-2 in that one league I'm 4-2 in, so this will be 3 wins in a row. My first loss in the other league was last week, so bouncing back with a win. That one I dominated in. Musgrave trying to get by Parker. This 116 truck for position. Parker blocking all over the place. And Musgrave just can't get a run underneath him. 3.3 seconds off the race lead. Bo Phillips is out in front of the field. Still caution free in this one. Oh boy. He's definitely not giving me a lot of room. He's blocking everything. I pretty much play the matchup game with my defense at fantasy every week. So heartbroken from Saturday. Yeah, that stinks. Tigers had a good run. Really looking forward to them playing the Yankees tonight. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. I don't have any intentions on watching baseball again the rest of the year, honestly. Whenever my teams always make the playoffs, like they never go out and like it's always heartbreaking when your favorite team gets knocked out of, playoffs in any sport. So it's hard for me to like go back and watch, whoever else is playing that game that your team, you wish your team would have been playing in that game the following week. Yeah, I don't think I'll be catching any more baseball the rest of the year. That's going to be it for me. I can remember some of those years of the Packers making it to the NFC Championship game in those later Roger years, and they would play the first game, and they would end up losing, and then the AFC title game would be on after that. I'm like, I don't even feel like watching this anymore. I feel sick. There's 2 of them that come to my mind. That Seattle game when we were up 14 with a couple minutes to go, and they scored a touchdown, got the onside kick, scored another touchdown, and then they ended up winning the game off of that. There's that one, and then the one just a few years ago against the Bucks in 2020. Or 2020. Well, it would have been 2021, technically. 2020 season. They're by double digits. Tom Brady woke up and chose to be Tom Brady of old that day. Halftime, actually, is when he decided to do that, because the first half they weren't playing well, and then had that one touchdown right before the end of the half. And after that, it was all Tampa that game. Yeah, it'll be a fun game to watch, Texans and Packers. Well, I don't think I'll be able to watch it. I think it's at 1 o'clock. It would be a good game to watch. Streaming the race later. Catch like the first half of it. That'd be about all I'd be able to see, if that. If I would have known the race was going to get a later start time than when it was showing on NASCAR.com and on the NASCAR app, then I could have actually caught an hour of the Packers game this week against the Cardinals, but nope. I blame that one on the NASCAR app. It specifically said 2 o'clock. It still said 2 o'clock even while I was streaming yesterday because I wanted to double check it. Yeah, their time was wrong. Well, I mean, I didn't embarrass myself. We just had an extra long pre-race show, that's all. Had some extra time to fill, but felt like I elongated it pretty well. Instead of rushing through who I thought was going to make it and not make it out of the playoffs, I just ended up kind of describing every driver in my thoughts on their chances of making it or not making it to the next round? No, it would have been embarrassing if I would have had the start time like a half hour the other way, where I would have thought, like, say I thought they were starting at 2, but they started at 1:30 or something. And by the time I would have decided to turn the pre-race on, it's like the race is already 30 laps in. That would be embarrassing. That's like a nightmare waiting to happen for me. That hasn't happened with the live commentary streams. I sure hope it doesn't. I'm going to clip that apron again just a little bit. Should be a one-stop race today. Halfway out of gas at lap 39. Make it to about lap 78. Easily going to be able to make it to the finish. So knowing that this is a one-stop race, it's going to take an awfully long time for Ted Musgrave here to really try to cut into this deficit. He's very slowly closing in on Bo Phillips. Mark DeMars, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, it definitely was a heartbreaker for him. Also a heartbreaker last night with Alex Bowman failing post-race inspection. I always hate when stuff like that happens, just as a fan, because we were watching a pretty tight points battle between Reddick and Logano that entire final stage, and then it all kind of gets nullified because both guys get in anyway. And it's like, well, I guess what we were watching wasn't as dramatic as we thought it was. It's just like, you know, when a guy wins a race and then, you know, fails post-race inspection or something. Kind of has the same feeling to it for me personally. But yeah, tough break. Bowman now out of the playoffs and Logano back in. Just enough of a squeeze for Musgrave to get by Bobby Hamilton for third. Second place right there in front of him as well. Fastest lap just ran by Musgrave, a 30.062. That last time by. Yeah, Larson dominated that race yesterday. Twice in the last few weeks, he's led over half the laps in one. Musgrave now to second. A little bit of a wall scrape getting up off the exit of the corner there, but 2.1 seconds off the race lead from Phillips. Musgrave doing what he can to try to run him down. And we still have quite a ways left in this one. A little less than 90 laps to go. And clearly in position to finish 22nd or better to win this championship. It was 21st or better, but we did get some laps let in. Chances of leading the most laps, slim to none, really, at this point. Phillips out in front, was pulling away. Locked down the back straightaway. Got a little bit wide. Driving it off into 1 and 2. And now I'm going to have to give that room to Claiborne, who's back on the inside again. Off the exit of the corner and up against the wall a bit wide. For the second corner in a row. But that time got a piece of the wall. And a couple positions lost for Ted Musgrave, falling back to 4th again. Second time I've got up against the wall today. I don't think we've got a race-winning truck again. Tends to be the case for a mile and a half. I think we've got definitely a top 5 truck. This race stays green to the end. It's going to be really difficult for us to try to catch Bo Phillips. He's not that far ahead. But 2 seconds feels like a gigantic gap today because the lap time that I'm able to put up at my best is nowhere near what he's able to do on a consistent enough basis to really try to eat into that lead. Once we got to second place, couldn't even really pull away from the trucks that we are currently battling with. As Musgrave gets into 3rd again, and again goes for 2nd. Passed Lester last lap, gets by Claiborne this lap, and clear off turn 2. Lester back into P3. Trying to go for 2nd again. I think the only chance we're going to have of getting him is maybe splitting this race in half, which would mean pitting at lap 65 instead of taking it to the end of the run. About lap 77 to 79 we can go until we'd have to pit for fuel purposes. This race, the way it's going right now, with not having a caution yet, I would imagine that we could end up continuing on in that fashion. I think it's going to be worth trying. Especially if Phillips not in lap traffic yet. I think that's the big thing. Because if he was in lap traffic, I don't think I would try it. Just because we would be in danger of going a lap down. There's a chance I could eat into his lead before that. If I don't really get into that lead a lot by lap 65, then I think I'm definitely going to cut this thing in half. Not even a full 1/10 of a second quicker. Definitely not going to be quicker running this lane. Not this version of Atlanta. A few more years, maybe. Imagine Logano winning a championship after all that. So I don't think he's going to get into the championship 4. He hasn't been running particularly well on intermediate tracks. Short tracks and road courses, really not even road courses, short tracks and super speedways have by far been the best for him this season. he could go out there and win Martinsville. And if he makes it to Phoenix, Fords have had a stranglehold at Phoenix outside of this last spring. They've pretty much had a stranglehold on the flatter 1 mile tracks or just flat tracks in general. Toyotas this year in particular seem to be closer to Ford, I think, on these flatter tracks with the next gen than what we've seen in years past. Jeez. I don't really know if I can think of the most embarrassing thing I've ever done, honestly. I know you've asked me that before. I don't know. There's not really one thing that comes to my mind of like, oh, that's super embarrassing. There's probably a bunch of like little things that I've done, but yeah, there isn't really one thing that I could pinpoint. Like, not getting a car at Phoenix, that's a hindsight thing. And honestly, it all ended up really working out okay. The truck race, obviously, that screwed me over that night. But for the other 2 nights, as far as Ubering to the track and back, I didn't really have much of a problem. The Xfinity race, I had to wait a lot longer for the Uber, because by the time I got over to the pickup station, there weren't any there, so you had to wait for them to come back, and because there's so much traffic leaving at once, it's hard for people to come in. But I also knew that, like, when I went to the Royal Rumble last year and I Ubered to the event, knowing that I wasn't going to be able to get out of there right away. And I was probably going to have the same thing. The only time I would consider not doing that is if the weather's not as optimistic as I would hope. But obviously, you know, being out in the desert there, it's not like it was raining. It was, you know, dry. And at that time of the year, it wasn't hot either. It was at nighttime, so... And there's still a lot of people there, too. It's not like, you know, I'm out of state, somewhere I've never been before by myself. Like, there's a bunch of other people that are also waiting for the same thing I'm waiting for, so. And actually, in both of those instances, we ended up, both of the Rumble and then all the Phoenix, you know, things, I was with somebody else. Every time I Ubered out of Phoenix Raceway for the rest of that weekend for Saturday and then the Cup race on Sunday, there was always like another person that was also Ubering to wherever they were going, hotel, airport, or whatever, right after the race was over, too. So, meet some other NASCAR fans. So, I honestly don't think that that's embarrassing. I'd personally do it again because it does save a few extra $100. At that time, too, you got to think, I wasn't 25 years old at that time. I am now. So, I couldn't rent a car under certain agencies, and the agencies I could rent it under, it was an extra charge for me being under 25 every day I would have had it. So it was a big money saver at not doing it. Now I wouldn't have to worry about that extra charge, but still, I mean, it's a couple $100 at least, you know, to rent a car for an entire weekend, even if you get, you know, like a minivan or something like that that isn't as like luxurious, I guess. Not that I go for a luxurious car, but just go for a standard compact car, one that I can fit in. That was a tough injury for Aiden Hutchinson yesterday. Well, we can go a little further. We definitely have some trucks pitting right now. Still 2.2 seconds off the lead. Have not cut into that gap hardly at all on both Phillips. Might have actually lost a couple tenths, really, over the last 12 laps or so since getting back into second place. So we're going to pit this time by, splitting this race in half. No adjustments will be made, and Musgrave going to be very aggressive on his pit road entry. Locking the brakes up big time. Going to make an air pressure adjustment. We're going to put 2 pounds of air in it all the way around. 4-tire stop for Musgrave. So slight adjustment change here. Felt like that cost me a little time trying to get down for no reason that it should have. I'm not a truck guy. I don't think I'll ever own a truck, honestly. Like I've driven my dad's truck. Like if I needed another vehicle at a short time or whatever. My old car was getting worked on, or my first car, for instance, when that spontaneously combusted. I was in the midst of having to get a new car. I would drive his truck. I first got my license. Before I even had my first car, I drove his truck for a little bit if I needed to go to work or something. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a big truck guy. Like, it doesn't bother me if I have to drive it, but it's not something I would own. Bo Phillips still out there on the racetrack. The longer he stays out of the pits, the more time Ted Musgrave will have to try to eat into this lead on his fresher tires. Currently, Musgrave is in 11th as well, so well ahead of 22nd, where he has to finish to win the title. It was 21st coming into the night, but we did get 5 bonus points already. Led a handful of laps in this race. So that pushes us now back to having to finish 22nd or better to win this championship. And that's if Bobby Hamilton Sr. wins the race, which obviously Bo Phillips, looks to be the guy that we're going to have to beat. So that's probably not the case. Oof. Man, that's first time in a while I've clipped that apron. I really hadn't clipped it since I got really loose and lost the battle for the lead. Really haven't sniffed the lead since. Right in line behind the 192 truck of Marvin Sheth. Pulling to the inside off the exit of the corner, looking to make the pass. I don't think Phillips is pit yet. Unless I lost that much time on pit road. I wasn't really paying too close of attention to the pit stop. I was taking a drink of water, so I don't really know if I lost a lot of time or not. I might have. I think everybody cycled through, and we just cycled out of the pits in 7th. Pass on Sheth, the pass on Parker to get back into 5th. 7.7 seconds off the race lead in the late going of this race. We're under 60 laps left. Still caution-free. This could be our 4th caution-free truck race of the season. The way things are going. There'll be another strong finish. We finished 3rd place again tonight or better. Number 1, we clinched the title, but number 2, that would be the 9th straight top 3 finish for Ted Musgrave on this season. It's been 4 races since the last win. At least trying to keep the top 3 streak alive. I think we're definitely going to need a caution. I just don't know how I lost that much time on pit road. How did I lose 5.5 seconds? I literally went as fast as I could have on pit entry without speeding, locked the brakes up late. Those skid marks you see from the exit of turn 4 was me trying not to speed on the pit road. So I literally got all I could. And we still ended up losing 5.5 seconds. Like, it's not like I just lost a second or two. I lost 5.5 seconds. And that was even pitting before Phillips, too. We had fresh tires for probably 2 or 3 laps before Phillips pit. There were a few trucks that pit just before us. What are you looking in the restroom stalls for? I mean, I guess it is embarrassing. That's it's more weird than embarrassing, but that's definitely up there. being a weirdo. Blamed it on somebody else. Did that other person get in trouble for it? That'd be insane. I was a kid at the time. Yeah, kids do weird things. I know my sister's definitely done way more embarrassing things than I have. I think the reason why I haven't done many embarrassing things, I don't get out enough. I think that's it's probably a lot of it. I never really like got myself in trouble outside of like because of like hanging out or anything like that or doing stupid stuff with my friends. Like we never really did any of that. Slow truck up on the outside lane of the racetrack. I did hear the crew chief a handful of laps ago say something about a slow truck coming off of pit road. Big squeeze to the bottom of the front stretch, just getting by Bobby Hamilton for 4th. The big run on him there. He might have checked up a bit off turn 4 for that lap truck to the outside. And Musgrave capitalized. Bobby Hamilton's championship hopes slipping away here as we're down to 50, now 49 to go at the line this time by. We still have 2 more field passes to get through yet today. 5.7 seconds off the lead, about 2 seconds gained, though Phillips is in lap traffic right now. And Musgrave has not yet gotten there. I remember you saying something about that. I remember you telling me that before. Flipping a teacher off. Yeah, I would never do anything like that. I was always the quiet kid. Kept to myself. I had my small friend group, and that was good enough for me. Yeah, it sounds like me and you were definitely polar opposites. I was trying not to get in trouble, and you were doing everything in your power to get in trouble, it sounds like. Pass for Lester on third. Back to Spencer Claiborne to battle for second. Pinched on the end of the front stretch. We'll see Musgrave drive it in deep into turn one, and he is there. And there was an air pressure change. Flipped the air pressure up 2 pounds all the way around on that one and only pit stop in this race. Pitted right at the halfway mark. Splitting this race and the tires in half. Pretty much the entire field did the same thing. We were able to go further on fuel to the end, so fuel isn't going to be an issue, but that was the strategy that most of these teams chose to take. And honestly, I thought they were going to run it to the very end. I'm surprised they did the same thing I did. So that kind of negated my opportunity of trying to get a fresh tire advantage for like a dozen laps or so on Bo Phillips, because we really only had like 2 or 3 laps to try to cut into this deficit. But we are back into second, just past our first lap truck of Aaron Crocker, outside of the really slow truck that we already caught once in this run. We'll probably catch a few more times before the end of the race. 4.5 seconds off the race lead. But it was 7.7 at lap 67, 21 laps ago. There's a chance Ted Musgrave could get that first win on a 1.5 mile track this season. And it would be his 9th win total. Honestly, percentage for me to get wins, this is about as low as it's been in a while. Definitely the lowest on NASCAR 07 in any season I've done on this game. So we're about to catch that slow truck again here on the back straightaway, it appears. Trying to get a little draft off of him. Sailing it off into 3. No, I definitely didn't. I, like, never had a detention. Like, I literally never got in trouble growing up in school. I was always the kid afraid to disappoint my parents, so that's a lot of why I chose to make the smart decisions in life to not get in trouble and push the issue. That wasn't going to fly in this household. It was instilled in me at a young age. Some lap trucks side by side up here. Bo Phillips has at least 3 or 4 lap trucks between us. Obviously, bigger gap still even between those lappers. We haven't had any issues with it at this point. A 2.8 second lead. And I think a lot of that is Phillips struggling to get by that very, very slow truck on the racetrack the few times we have caught that truck. We still have to get through our 2 field passes with Todd Bodine in this one yet. I'm going to wait till we catch that slow truck one more time first, because I don't want Musgrave to lose time behind him. And speaking of Todd Bodine, here he is in the 30 truck. I didn't realize you were that young, Michael. For some reason, I didn't realize we were the same age nearly. Yeah, I got it. See, I never got into a fight either. Like, like I said, I have my tight niche, small friend group, and same 3 or 4 of us, and Still talk to two of them on a semi-regular basis to this day. Gone golfing with the one a couple times this year, and talk a lot of baseball with the other one, especially during this last couple months. Both Tigers fans. He's more of a baseball fan than I am. I am a big baseball fan. I kind of got him into it when we were in high school. Then he started joining us with the home run derbies and stuff that we'd have with my sister's softball machine, which I've told that story before. But yeah, that kind of got him introduced into it, and then he went like full in on it. He's as big of a baseball fan as what I am a NASCAR fan, minus the YouTube channel part. So he's definitely diehard with that. I'm a diehard Tigers fan. He is too, but he's, you know, all around baseball way more than I am. About to catch this 131 truck up here. Slowing up every lane of the racetrack. This is an opportunity again for Ted Musgrave to cut into this lead on Bo Phillips. 33 laps to go, and the lead is now down under a second. Phillips stuck in that middle upper groove. Finally gets by the 131 truck. Musgrave has not struggled once. Phillips has struggled 3 times. And you can see him not that far ahead of Ted Musgrave. Musgrave to the inside of Legacy Jr. in the 04. Now there's no lap trucks between the top two. Now's a good time that we're closing in on the race lead to get these 2 field passes out of the way. In case Musgrave is a little slower. We're catching, it was lap 88 and then 97. It's about every 9 to 10 laps are going to catch that 131 truck that's slowing off the pace. I think somebody just blew a motor. Well, there's somebody down on pit road. Todd Bodine gained a position on the front stretch there. Kind of at random. 28th, 1 lap down. I mean, this is just a poor season for Todd Bodine. Bodine's still not losing a lot of time here. "29 laps left this time by." Oh, Phillips got really, really tight through the middle of 3 and 4. He went up a lane, gave a little bit of clean air in the second half of the corner to Musgrave behind him. And he caught that 126 of Tingen in a bad spot off the exit of the corner. Musgrave did not. I'll take that final field pass this time by at the line, so I'm not going to try to make this pass for the lead at this time. Like Ted Musgrave definitely can't get any closer. Bodine still in 28. Not many trucks a lap down in this one. I'm actually kind of surprised we don't have as many trucks a lap down, considering this is caution-free. Obviously, you know, it's only a 200-mile race with the truck series. There's only going to be a one-stopper. We've seen the tires fall off over the course of that first half of the 65 laps. Going to be the case on this fuel run as well. But it's not too terrible by the end of the run either. All right, we'll make that final transfer. We will drive as Musgrave the rest of the race. Kind of a bad spot to get back in the gas with him. Oh, up against the wall off turn 2. Got a little loose on that outside lane. 107 truck going to get back on by. That was a mistake. You can see how much time Musgrave lost because of that. He was just within a few truck lengths of Phillips. Not anymore. 25 laps to go. It's been since the early laps of this race, first 20 laps or so, since Musgrave has led in this one. Bo Phillips is definitely dominating the laps led category. And here we are just like we were in the first Atlanta race back in the spring, when it was these two running 1-2, though a lot more competitive race here today than what we saw earlier this season, by way of margin of victory and what that's probably going to look like. Bo Phillips won that race, so he's trying to get the Atlanta sweep today and trying to get his 6th win of the season. It's been a minute since his last win. He gets slowed up by the 131 truck again, and here comes Phillips. Got by Musgrave a lot quicker, getting by the slow 131 truck. Aggressively down on that white line. First half of the corner, getting a half a lane of clean air. Phillips leads this lap, 23 to go. Musgrave trying to stay underneath him into turn 1. Phillips trying to slam the door. Musgrave down on the apron, a little loose. Was trying to squeeze underneath that 191 truck, but didn't have enough room to do it. Going to catch that 131 2 more times in this race. If we stay green, obviously. They also got a big wad of 5 lap trucks not that far ahead as well, running 2x2. Could make things a little interesting also. Big drive. And another clip off the apron by Musgrave. And a kiss into the wall. He's pushing too hard, a little too early yet. And that is a lot of time lost. He's trying to get around him. I mean, he's just so strong. The only reason we've really caught up as much as we did is because of that lap truck. That is a ton of time lost. 20 to go at the line, and now Musgrave's 1.8 seconds off the lead. Two times I've overdriven the truck a ton, trying to find a pathway to get by Phillips for the race lead. The third clip into the wall tonight for the 9 as well. A 22nd place finish or better to clinch the championship. More than likely going to happen. It would take a miracle not to have that happen now. So Musgrave is going hard and trying to go for his first 1.5-mile racetrack win on the year. Phillips still trying to fight, not for the championship. He's out of contention for that, but he can still finish as high as 2nd in points. And he can still try to go for the most wins this season. If he wins this race, he'll only be 2 behind Musgrave with 3 races to go. And obviously we're simulating the next 3 races, so we're definitely not going to win those. Obviously, assuming that we win this championship here today. So then we can see the full season standings and the way they look. Phillips has gotten around quite a few of these lap trucks up here. That group of 5. I think he's passed 3 of them. Musgrave's going to have to make a quick pass on him. 1 second off the lead. I mean, it definitely costed him time getting through him. But Musgrave has not had to make any passes on him yet himself. And obviously the 131 is going to be coming up here within a few laps. Again, right around a 9 to 10 lap window we've been catching him. And I think I see him up there. Yep, we're going to be catching him right here. Probably right into turns 1 and 2. 0.6 of a second off the lead for Musgrave. Saw trucks up on that middle to upper line, slowing down. Musgrave had to lift to keep it off the back of this truck he's currently underneath in the middle of 1 and 2 down the back straightaway now. Phillips was able to get by Timothy Peters, who was the last lap truck. Although I don't know if he's... Yeah, he is clear. Okay. I was wondering if he was or not. Contact for Musgrave underneath the 163. Definitely can't make another gigantic mistake by overdriving the corner again. Musgrave barely clear on Peters up turn 2. Slams the door shut. Phillips next truck in line in front of him again. Will catch the 131 one more time in the final 10 laps, but for now it's a 1v1 race for the win. Caution-free race at Atlanta coming down to the wire. Championship is won, but can he win the race? Again, get that first mile and a half track win of the year. Really low off turn 2. Phillips back to the blocking. Just like he did the first couple times, he's going to make it very difficult for Musgrave to make this pass for the lead. Good run off turn 4 for the 9. Looks low. Will Phillips get down to the bottom? He does. So tight to run right on that white line, but he can't get below it. We've seen how loose Musgrave has gotten a couple times already when clipping the apron into the corner. Got to the inside that time, but he didn't have enough speed compared to that high lane off the exit of the corner. And again, Phillips is clear. 10 laps left this time by. I'm going as low as I can go. On the apron on the back straightaway. Get that clean air pocket in the middle of the corners. That could be huge. 10 to go. It's another reason why staying down on that white line. It's running just a little bit off the bottom. Musgrave clips the apron, gets loose. Stayed in the gas, though. Lost momentum because he got loose, but he didn't lift and was able to steer out of it. Nine laps to get it done. A lot more bottom left open. The problem is, Phillips squeezed him off, made contact, and that slowed the 9 truck up. Right in the middle of the corner again. That's about as much bottom that was left open, at least on corner entry for the 9, to at least get his nose in there that time. 8 laps to go. And again, down on the bottom, clips the apron, slides up into the 191. And that's going to be tough to make that ground back up again. They'll catch the 131 truck one more time. And Musgrave's got to hope that Phillips gets held up. I'm driving it so deep on the apron because there's literally no other way around him. Other than to try to get all up on that white line and hope it sticks. And if you're on top of it with the left side tires, there's grip. But if you just get a skosh below it, that happens. I've seen it 3 times now in this late battle for the lead. And there's that 131 truck for the final time, holding Phillips up on the front stretch. Lead is down to 0.3 of a second into turn 1. 131 pulls down on top of Musgrave as well, and Musgrave got held up. Made contact with him, so it's really the first time I've struggled to get around him too. And that wasn't a complete capitalization. That might have won Phillips the race. 5 to go. 0.6 of a second lead. 0.3 lost that last lap because of the contact with the 131. I mean, it's taking laps just to get underneath him when we get up to him. And we can't have that anymore. Like, we have to get under him right away. But knowing it takes so long to build that run up, that's why I feel like that might have been the last gasp. Gained a little bit that last lap. There's one more lap truck that Phillips is probably going to catch here. Same for Musgrave. Obviously nowhere near as slow as the 131. This truck's starting to free up a little bit more now that we're getting towards the end of this tire stint. Close to the end of the fuel run as we're at the end of the race, splitting it in half. 165 laps on both runs. A 10th quicker that last lap for Musgrave. That was it. Both trucks trying to get a draft off the straightaways. Musgrave trying to draft off the 191. The 191 was trying to draft off the 99 of Darnell, the lap truck. Darnell up on the outside of the racetrack. Did not allow for Phillips to clear. And that slowed him up on the back straightaway, just enough with the side draft. And here comes Phillips, another shot at it. Lurking to the inside with 2 laps to go. Fastest lap Phillips ran today. Or Musgrave, I should say, ran today. And now trying to take the line away, the truck to the outside. Can't do it, still not clear. Side by side for the lead at Atlanta. This is going to be a close one. Gotta stay underneath down into turn 1. Still side by side. Phillips so strong on that outer lane. Musgrave trying to side draft. Couldn't. Phillips off the wall on the outside, but it's not going to be enough, and he's going to hold on to win at Atlanta. He did a phenomenal job up in that outer groove. Musgrave underneath him for the final 2 laps of the race, but just couldn't clear. And Bo Phillips wins. Dominating fashion in the laps led chart, but not necessarily in the margin of victory. 112 of 130 laps led today for Phillips, only 10 for Musgrave. Most of those early in those first 20 laps. Caution free for the 4th time in the Truck Series season. 8 lead changes, 180.61 mile per hour average race speed, 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 30 seconds total time on this race. It was a thriller. I tried to race him clean. I mean, he chopped me off like twice, but I couldn't get around him. He was faster. I mean, that's what it boiled down to. Again, if he didn't get held up behind the 131 truck on like 4 or 5 occasions that final run, I probably still would have been a couple seconds behind him at the finish. So that gave me a chance to get to him. But again, we're not the fastest truck on these intermediate tracks. So when we get into that position where we're having to race somebody else that is faster than us, it's really difficult to overcome. But we did win the championship tonight, despite not winning the race, so that is huge. Got our 5 bonus points, and we obviously finished 22nd or better, so we ended up finishing 2nd, winning the title, despite Bobby Hamilton Sr. finishing with 5 laps led, also getting 5 bonus points and finishing in 6th. As he had a solid night tonight, but, you know, even if he went out here and led the most laps and won and did what Phillips did, it wasn't going to be enough to win the title. It's too far back. with not enough time to get there. So Bo Phillips with the victory, Ted Musgrave in second, Zach Van Dyke third, Marvin Sheff fourth, Spencer Claiborne in fifth, Bobby Hamilton Sr., sixth, Bill Lester seventh, Ron Hornaday eighth. He didn't lead a lap. Chris Parker didn't lead a lap, finishing ninth, and H. Jackson rounds out the top 10. Let's see, we had 16 trucks finish on the lead lap. Our teammate Todd Bodine finished a lap down in 28th. And we had several drivers blow an engine tonight. Wilson Eubanks, C. Vance, David Reagan, Jay Ships, and George Teague. 5 drivers that blew an engine in tonight's race, failing to make it to the finish. That's one of the closer races we've had in a minute on the channel. Outside of a super speedway. Yeah, and for it to go caution free and come down to being that close, that's pretty impressive. All right, so I'll mute. We have clinched the title. So we will now simulate these last 3 races. And we will have Busch Series racing the rest of the week on the channel now. We continue on through that season. All right, so Billy Chapman wins his first race at Texas. Got to get these race statistics in real quick before I forget. Let's see here. So 10 laps led. Bo Phillips has 6 wins. I mean, 9 straight top 3 finishes, though. I'll try to edit as much as I can on the wins list, too. All right. Scored us finishing 8th. I'm not going to score us for the final 3 races with it being simulated. I'll just act as if we didn't start the race. So then I'll just have the stats for the races we started in general. But Chapman wins. Another caution-free one there. Phoenix. Wilson Eubanks wins his second race. Or no, he actually didn't win this season. Yeah, he did not win this year. All right, so first win of the season for Wilson Eubanks. And then the season finale at Homestead. T-Bell. All right. So we ended up having 11 different winners this season. That's actually a lot, considering that we only have 25 races in the truck series. Most wins on the year, our driver Ted Musgrave, 8 wins, 6 for Bo Phillips. Bobby Hamilton Sr. wins 2. Chris Parker wins 2. Ron Hornaday with 1 win. Hans Good, 1 win. George Teague, 1 win. Zach Van Dyke, 1 win. Billy Chapman, 1 win. Wilson Eubanks, 1 win. And T. Bell, right here at Homestead, winning the final race of the season. So, yeah, 11 different winners. And that's despite the fact that we had 2 drivers win 14 of the 25 races. Only 4 drivers total won 2 or more, and the other 2, again, Bobby Hamilton and Chris, or Bobby Hamilton and Chris Parker. $411-point victory for Ted Musgrave. The end of the season, Bobby Hamilton Sr. finishes 2nd in points, Bill Lester 3rd, Bo Phillips 4th, Chris Parker 5th, Ron Hornaday 6th, Hans Good 7th, Harold Jackson in 8th, Billy Chapman 9th, Scott Lagacy Jr. rounds out the top 10. Our teammate Todd Bodine finishes 16th in points. No wins for him, unfortunately. I want to see what Bell's last name is. Where is he in points? Tommy Bell. 38th in points, which tells me he did not start many races because there's only 36 trucks that could start. So a very much part-time driver wins the title. But good for him, or not wins the title, but wins a race, excuse me. Definitely the first back in points to win a race this season. George Teague in 24th had a race win. Wilson Eubanks won towards the end of the year, 18th in points. Zach Van Dyke had a win, 13th. And then Billy Chapman, 9th in points, had a win. Hans Good with a win in 7th. Ron Hornaday with a win in 6th. Chris Parker, 2 wins in 5th. Bo Phillips, 6 wins, finished 4th in points. That was a Ryan Newman 2003 season for him. Bill Lester did not win a race, but finished 3rd in the standings. Bobby Hamilton Sr., 2 wins, and we had 8. So that's that side of things. Our statistics on the season had 8 wins, 17 top 5 finishes, 18 top 10s, 1,284 laps led. And our average finish, I'm just getting that right now. Average finish 6.0 at the end of the season. It was a 6.2 coming into the day. 2nd place finish here tonight, so 6.0. And again, just putting it as a DNS for the last 3 races of the season with clinching the title. So that doesn't mess up our average finish. So through 22 races, 6.0 average finish. I didn't credit myself with an extra top 10 or anything of that nature. In the 2 of the last 3 races that we got scored top 10s by simulating it, but not going to give that to me. So 18 top 10s though, honestly, in 22 races, that's solid. That's solid. We had a great season. All those poor finishes, all in intermediate tracks for the most part, it seemed. But that is going to wrap up the Truck Series side of things here on NASCAR 07. We will be back at it again for some more NASCAR 07 content tomorrow. Will be Busch Series racing at Charlotte. a 6 p.m. Eastern start time for that as well. And hope to see you tomorrow night. Hopefully you enjoyed this stream. Hopefully you enjoyed us clinching the championship collectively. I say we because you guys are in it too. You're watching me every night when we go on the grind of these long seasons, and all pays off in the end. Hopefully we can really get it done with the Busch and the Cup Series seasons once again. It'd be cool to go 6-0. I haven't done that since the NASCAR 05 seasons. I didn't lose a championship on that game. NASCAR 06, I did lose a Cup Series title there, the Do It for Dale season. The first Cup title I lost. I won the others. The NASCAR Thunder 04, I lost a couple championships. The only two that we tried with the Cup Series on that game, did not win either one. So, cool to get it done because you just never know. It's not like it's a guaranteed thing. Obviously, this game seems a lot easier for me than the other EA games. I think a lot of it, I played this a lot when I was growing up, so it's easier for me to kind of just get acclimated with how the game feels, I guess, if that makes any sense. Appreciate it, though. Busch Series, Cup Series season still to come. And I might get into some modified stuff before NASCAR 7's done as well. Before we move on to NASCAR 08, thanks for watching. Again, Busch content, rest of the week, rest of the start times for this week, 6 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you for all of it.